Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, Mishira's Cameraman, and today we are doing a very, very interesting video. I'm aware that some people may call me psychotic for what I'm about to say, but as you've probably seen in the title of this video, I actually enjoyed Madam Web. Yes, I know, it's kind of crazy. Literally any YouTube video that you will watch will have it sarcastically in the title or say that this movie literally is the worst thing they've ever seen. And this movie has taken over the world for being so incredibly bad. So, I've already made 2 videos on Madam Web, and I thought, why not make a third? Probably with the same thumbnail image as I did with the other ones, just edited a little differently, but who knows. But let's talk about this thing. I made a video back in, when was it, October? November? Whenever the trailer came out. And was like, Madam Web looks like a fan film. And that was the premise of the video. That video did fine, I think. I don't think it, blew anyone away. And then a few weeks went by. I did another video a few weeks ago, which was why I'm actually excited for the movie, and that one did well. So, I thought it was only fitting to finish the trilogy of Madam Web videos with going from making fun of the movie to being excited for the movie to actually enjoying the movie. This is the climax of the film. The trilogy, I don't even know at this point, but this film is when people say a film is so incredibly bad, it's good. And the thing is I have seen some bad films in my day. And I say this, I've not just seen bad films, but I've also seen probably a few hundred fan films. So if you look at that, I'm not saying all fan films are bad, the majority of them are really good, but I've also seen some fan films that are really bad. And I don't review those fan films because I just actually be completely making fun of them. But there are some fan films that I've seen that literally, I don't want to say they're just on such a level that I can't even fathom. How did you actually spend time working on this? And I've never reviewed a fan film that I felt that way before. I've probably seen 10, 15 that are like that, but those things will blow me away. But I don't always enjoy them. The majority of the time they're boring. However, with Madam Web, the film is terrible. I will say I was cringing at literally the way that the film was cut and shot at times. Not the whole time. But I still enjoyed it. The first thing I wanted to say was about the camera. There were times that it did the Zack Snyder quick zoom, and especially in the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, it was so disorienting. I did not feel like they ever kept the camera straight throughout the whole movie. Not just did the entire film feel like shaky cam, not just that, but they also did quick zooms at times that felt really out of place, and they blurred the surroundings at times. So it literally it felt like the camera was constantly shaking and moving. I don't think there was ever a shot in the film that was actually steady with the camera. And it was definitely interesting. It hurt my head a lot. But I will say, as much as I didn't love parts of the cinematography, there were actually a lot of parts of it that I did enjoy. I feel like throughout the film, there were actually many shots and many things throughout the film, whatever, you know what I mean? There are so many things throughout the film that I actually really enjoyed when it came to the cinematography, especially the diner scene. I feel like that was probably the best scene in the film, if you want me to be honest. I think some of the cinematography in that scene was actually really good. I thought that whole fight, especially, not necessarily the second part of it, but the first part, the vision of it, was actually really good, especially in flipping on the ceiling and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it, actually. And I think, overall, a lot of the fight scenes in this were really good, especially when it came to Ezekiel Sims. I thought he was actually a very good villain. So before we continue on, I have to make this clear again. This is a bad movie. This is not a good movie. This movie is terrible. There are so many bad parts to it. However, I still really liked it. And once again, I might be going crazy, but we knew this already. So, forging forward, What was the next point I wanted to make? Was it about the trio? I think it was probably about the trio. Oh, I know. Okay. So the thing with Madam Web is this is probably going to be the biggest thing about the video that you're going to probably get mad at me for. But this film's plot is actually really good. And I'm not saying this sarcastically. I want to make this very clear. Nothing I'm saying in this video is sarcastic. But, in my opinion, if you skim this plot down to what it basically is, it is about a person who can see the future trying to stop a villain. And honestly, that's really cool. Like, what I would really be interested... That is, like, they're also being hunted. I feel like it makes really good sense and stuff. And I feel like if this film was done well, this could be a really good movie. And especially if you look at a film like The Dark Knight. Imagine a film like this that wasn't necessarily like a superhero film, but more like a film starring a superhero. And I'd say that's kind of like what Dark Knight is. I will say I am making a Batman video in a few weeks or so, talking about the Christopher Nolan and maybe the other ones. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. But I will say, back on topic, is I do feel like The Dark Knight very much is like a crime thriller starring Batman. I don't feel like this is a Batman film in Batman in a crime thriller. That's not what I feel. I feel like that's more what the Batman is from 2022. However, I feel like The Dark Knight feels a lot more like a movie just with Batman in it. And I feel like there's very few comic book movies like that. I have to make that clear. I do not see many movies that are like that. But when they do happen, whenever rare they are, but when they do come out, I actually do feel like they work. Like, overall, I think a lot of those films really do work. So when it comes to a film like this, imagine Madam Web was a police detective. And they did something like that. And for some reason, Madam Web was, like, being hunted or something by, like, some criminal, and she was, like, being targeted. What if Madam Web was the one being targeted, or she was trying to protect, like, one of the three, not the whole trio. Let's say she was just trying to protect Sydney Sweeney. Then she protects her, and the whole film, she's trying to do it, but she's also being a cop. It's not about her trying to save her, get her away. It's her just trying to stop the bad guy, and it's a whole crime thriller with the aspect of the seeing into the future. Not a seeing into the future film with the superhero aspect. Because the seeing into the future and the superhero-ness and all that stuff shouldn't be the focal point in the film. The focal point should be the film they're telling. And then it should also be with a superhero. I feel like there are plenty of films that really work, like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, for example. I feel like that's a little bit weird, but like an example of a film that really is a comic book movie with outside themes. However, I feel like imagine a Madam Web film that was like a crime thriller with the superhero aspects, not a superhero film with the crime aspects. Because I feel like if that was every superhero film, it wouldn't work. That has to be made clear. But they're very rare, but when it does happen, I think it really does work. And I don't remember, there was one that came out, I think, a few years ago. I don't know necessarily which film I'm thinking of. Maybe, I don't think it was Loki. It could have been a show, too. There was definitely, but like, I feel like there are times when a film with a superhero, instead of a superhero with a film or with a plot, actually could work better. Because I feel like a Madam Web story, like, I really enjoyed if I were to see if this film had a lot of adjustments made to it and just was the overall plot, you get rid of the two trio, it's just Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson. Those are the two leads. They have the same plot of the whole film. Then this film could actually be really good if it was like shot well, if Marvel did it all themselves. This film could really be incredible. And I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like if you were to imagine what this film would be like, if it was the basic premise of the film just done good, you could probably imagine actually enjoying this film. Because overall, this film has a good plot, it just doesn't execute it well. Okay, let's talk about the characters. Dakota Johnson overall, again, another issue I don't like with the plot. Not not written well. She's just trying to get them to their parents. But she is literally, her job is to save people. She literally dies to save someone. But when it comes to these girls who are being hunted, she's like, no, I don't really care about you. Let me drop you off to your parents. I just feel like that's a little stupid. Like, if her whole job is to save people, it should really be her trying to be overprotective of the kids, saying, no, I'm not leaving you, and the kids be like, oh, I can deal with this on my own. Because that could actually be, I know this is like a twist on what we normally see, like, oh, I'm just trying to get you out. Actually, I don't feel like it's a twist. But whatever it is, I feel like it could be very interesting with the girls being like, we don't need you, instead of the girls saying, oh my god, we need you, and Mad Woman be like, no, I don't care about you. It's just a very interesting thing, because the thing is, I like all the actresses in this. I don't hate Dakota Johnson, I just don't think she's written well. Like, I think if her character was written in the way I suggested, I think it actually could have worked maybe a little better. Not so much better, but like I feel like it could have improved the character. As for the trio, I actually enjoyed the trio more than Dakota Johnson, and I actually thought the trio was pretty entertaining at times. Like, I feel like they didn't have great chemistry at the start, but I feel like as the film went on, I actually grew to enjoy these characters being on screen more than Dakota Johnson. I feel like the idea of Dakota Johnson seeing into the future is shot well and done well. Not necessarily shot well, but I'll get into that after this point. But I like the dynamic of the trio, as stupid as it sounds. I actually do like the dynamic. And I wish that there was more of that I don't know if more of that's the right word, but I feel like overall they're really good. I think out of the trio, Sydney Sweeney is probably the top performance of this whole film. But I've also never seen anything else she's in. And I know that's going to also shock some people. I probably have seen other stuff she's in and I just don't recognize her. But overall, I really enjoyed the entire trio. And even throw Madam Web in there, so all four of them. Working together, especially towards the end of the film, was really good. And I really liked the end of the film when Madam Web saw into the future, saw what was going to happen in the final battle, and then was predicting out all of it. I actually really enjoyed that part of it. Because I liked at the beginning, once again, I really enjoyed the overall premise of this film. And I know that sounds weird, but I really enjoyed the overall plot and the overall idea of Madam Web's character. So, when they do that final battle and she learns to master her powers and she sees the whole scene and then she redoes it, I think that's actually a very creative final battle. Because the majority of final battles we see are kind of fight, fight, fight. This one feels different than a final battle I've seen it in a very long time. Maybe that's just because of the plot of the film. But I feel like it's a very creative final battle. And it fits the film way better than what it could have been if it was just her using her powers mid-fight. I think her predicting everything at the start and then seeing it throughout the fight is good, and it makes her seem like a really powerful character. And I'm not saying this because I feel like I agree with all the MCU or whatever people are calling it. I still want to see good films, but overall I feel like there are a lot of ideas that this film presents that are actually good. And once again, this film isn't good, and I feel like I've discussed all the points I want to make. So at this point, I think I should just be done with this review before I say anything else. But overall, this film is not good. This film is terrible. This film literally does so much wrong. But I still enjoyed it first. This film was still entertaining to me, and I still really enjoyed watching it. And second, even though this film is so incredibly bad, there are still aspects of it that are good. Because I feel like there's still parts of this that are good, and I think those are overlooked. I think there are plenty of people who watch this film and are whatever. But personally, I think there are a lot of really good parts of this film, and those have to be talked about more. And besides that, yeah, this film is so bad that it's actually good. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. See you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.